Hi, this is Ryan Wolf with Ability Ministry, and I'm glad you've joined us for another one of our training videos. Today, I want to talk to you about fun time fillers. Now, you may hear the word time filler and you may think, well, what's that all about? It's not really important. It's not ministry. Let me tell you this. Unless people are having fun, they won't stay engaged. And even worse, they may not return. So unless you can create a fun environment in those moments where maybe you've run out of materials or you're trying to set up your lesson for the time to come, you may not have as much success as you'd like presenting the gospel message. So fun serves a purpose in and of itself. And there's two different reasons where you might need an activity for a fun time filler. One might be the fact that you have run through all of your materials really quickly and you've looked up the clock and you've only got, 30 minutes left to fill. You've got to have some stuff in your back pocket ready to pull out to use. Or it might be that you have some time on the front end as you're leading into your lesson time and you want to use an activity as like an icebreaker to get your group zeroed in on what you want them to learn while creating a fun environment. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite go-to fun time fillers. We also have created a resource that will have 6 more fun time fillers that you can use in your ministry to keep in your hip pocket to use in those moments where you need something. So make sure to check out our one-page document on that, download that, and you'll get all the resources that you need for that. So let me start in on a couple of my favorite fun time fillers. This is a treasure box, all right? Inside of the treasure box, you can put anything. It really doesn't matter. It's the presence of a treasure box in your classroom or in your ministry environment. Whenever you bring it in, and you set it on the stage next to you, or you set it in the middle of your room with a sign on it that says, "Do not touch," you have instantly got the attention of your group because they desperately want to know what's inside the box. So if you're using this as an icebreaker leading into the lesson that you want to teach, place something inside of it that is related to what you're going to be talking about. And then play a game of 20 questions. Yes, no, questions that your group can ask you to try to figure out what's in the box. And then you can reveal that to them if they get it right. If you're using it as a time filler on the back end, same thing. Put it on the stage, put it in the middle of the classroom, put a sign that says "Do not touch," and tell your group, set a goal for them. Say, hey, if you can pay attention or you can actively participate throughout our entire time together, when we're done with our lesson, I have something special inside of here that I want to share with each and every one of you. So you can stash it full of snacks, candies, something that's individually wrapped, ideally something that's allergen free that you can share with your group. So that's great on the front end or the back end, a treasure box. Okay. Another thing that I think is a great time filler that can be used for a lot of different purposes are story cubes. Okay, so I've got a few here. Story cubes, they have images or they have words or symbols on them. And the idea is you grab how many ever you want, whether it be just a couple or a lot of them, and you roll the dice. And then based on what comes up at the top, you've got to make a story based on those images or words that come up with your story cube. So again, it's a great thing that you can do leading into your lesson time on the front end, or if you've got time that you need to fill on the back end of your lesson, you can break out some story cubes, roll the dice, and say, make a challenge to your group and say, hey, I want you to make up a story using the images or the words that have come up on the story cube and relate it to the lesson that you've just learned. Story cubes are a great thing to have with you at all times. Another thing that's great to have at your disposal is a giant box or bag of Legos. Legos are the perfect thing when it comes to time filling. So on the front end of the lesson, so if you want to use it as a icebreaker, you can create a challenge. for your group or just a few individuals within your group and say, hey, I want you to create, and you make whatever object it is that you want people to create. But again, if you can create it something that is going to tie into your lesson that you're about to teach, it's a great way to get your group focused on the front end of your lesson. Now, if you're using it as a time filler on the back end of your lesson, similar to the story cubes, you can say, hey, I would like for you to create something that is related to what make the most impact on you from what you just learned in the lesson. So you can create a challenge for the group or individuals to come up with something. Maybe they just learned about how Jesus is king, so they make a crown out of Legos. So that's a great tool to use. Another thing that's great to have at your disposal is a set of Scrabble tiles and a couple of the tile holders. And again, it's very similar to what you might do with the Legos. You might say, hey, as the group is coming in, if you're using it on the front end, you might do it as a check-in and say, hey, I want you to spell one word that describes how you're best feeling today, because it'll help you get a gauge on how your people in your group are doing. It might be that you're using it on the back end, again, as a time filler after your lesson. And you might do the same thing as the Legos. You might say, hey, I want you to find tiles that spell out a word that best describes what you've learned during this lesson, or what's the most important or main thing. And then give people, similar to the Legos or in the Scrabble tiles, not only do you want them to spell something or create something, but you want to give them an opportunity to share what it means for them. And the last thing I want to share with you is a giant die. You know, people dice, but I think the proper term for one is a die. A giant die that you can use with your group. So there's several different variations of what you can do here. If you're just rolling one, you can come up with a list. If you're on a whiteboard or a chalkboard, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and have 6 different questions. And you can give everybody an opportunity to roll the die. And based on what number they land on, they have to answer one of those 6 questions as you're starting the group. Again, it's great if those questions can relate to the lesson you're about to teach. Another way that you can use this on the back end, if you're using it as a time filler after your lesson, same idea, you can have 6 follow-up quiz type questions and pass the die around, ask people to roll it and answer the question to see if they have learned what you wanted them to learn with your lesson. Obviously, there's so many different variations that you can use with that. You can add another die and you could roll both of them. You could have 12 questions or 12 different options for them to do. But again, it's getting people engaged in active learning. And these are 5 great things that you can use as time fillers or icebreakers as you're teaching. Again, if you download the resource, our time filler resource, you'll get 6 additional items in addition to these 5 things that I've just shared with you that you can use in your classroom or you can use while you're teaching in ministry to help you out. Not only will you get those 11 things, but we've also given you links on where you can buy them. So if you like any of these things or these ideas that you can add to your toolbox as you're teaching, we've shared with you where you can buy them. So make sure that you check that out. It's on our one-page documents page, and it's a great resource for you to help you out as you are teaching. Thanks for tuning in to another one of our training videos.